All right. Hey, we made it. And hopefully the internet decides to cooperate today. Because it didn't last week.
I think it might,
I think it might, yeah. It's a new week, right?
I'm sensing it.
Yeah.
I'm sensing it.
Yeah, we went through 2 ISPs last week, and it turns out the problem was probably YouTube all along. But anyway.
I think they were really cinching down the internet after last week's Wednesday news.
Yeah.
If you recall anything specific that happened on December 4th, it might have just been...
First time hearing of it. I was just hanging out with my boy Luigi all week. Like, it was...
he's such a nice guy.
He's sitting here the whole time.
And it's just weird. It's funny. Like, I like talking to him, but he makes a lot of jokes about how he hates guns, despises guns, would never touch them.
Yeah, I also talked about, like, he's never been to New York. Like, always wanted to go, but no, yeah.
It's funny because he does a really good offensive New Yorker accent, though. He's like, hey, He's like, I'm a Luigi. And I'm like, dude, calm down.
Instant demonetization. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 362, your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rett.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk about beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are run on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Welcome to the show, everyone. I do not condone murder, but the memes have been fire this week. Holy crap.
And you know what? A little class solidarity, it's been good for us.
Right.
Like, we're looking around like, oh, it's like the lights came on. It's like, we're not alone down here? Okay.
Yeah, the best meme that I saw come out of this entire week has been the sometimes the ruling class needs to be reminded that a while ago we compromised and decided to come to the table with a list of grievances and establish, equal rights and fair treatment, as opposed to we used to kick people's doors down and beat them to death in front of their wife.
Yeah. I know. I mean, that's what's funny is like, just any movement like that throughout history up until like recently, up until recently has just been like, find the people who own the factories and or the businesses and kill them unless they cooperate with us. And it's like, oh,
suddenly we can't afford to pay our workers or.
Yeah. Oh, we could the whole time.
Wow.
I mean, I saw something on Bluesky weeks ago where it was just like one of the best things that ever happened to the rich was like the digitization of currency. Like suddenly they couldn't store their money in an offshore bank account, and you would like load up in South Key, Florida, like into a boat and like hand out guns and be like, all right, everybody, like let's go get our fair share. Like it's just stored in a vault over there.
Yep.
Imagine Red Dead Redemption 2, but instead of like doing it just a straight up bank heist, you gotta like, I don't know, steal their cell phone and like social engineer. It just doesn't.
All you had to do was keep up with the train, CJ.
Yeah, exactly. They used to have things we could take.
Yeah. Yeah, now we have to negotiate. They're not willing to do that. Yeah. So we've reached the time in the year when tech news is a little bit slow, and there's only so much we can talk about other things without completely demonetizing the channel or the channel. So I promise that's the last of that situation that we're going to talk about. I wasn't even planning on it, but Dang
it's me.
It just kind of fell out.
I can't help myself.
Morrowind. Yeah, let's talk Morrowind.
And the class struggle there on the island of Vardenfell.
Exactly.
It's an interesting dynamic there because the Emperor actually was able. Vardenfell was or Morrowind in general was one of the few continents that he was able to bring under the Empire without a long, protracted war. And it was because the people who lead Vardenfell were living gods, and he just didn't really want to march his gigantic robot over there and obliterate them. He thought it would be bad for everybody. So, and the tribunal, knowing that their power was waning, decided that, maybe we should just make some concessions, this, that, and the other thing.
I really feel, though, that we should be talking about the events in Oblivion, because it really was the working class that came up and assassinated the Emperor in the opening act. And that's why the fall of oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on Patrick Stewart's Emperor character.
Yeah,
Uriel Septim.
Uriel. Yeah,
there we go.
Uriel? Yeah,
pretty sure it was Uriel.
The only ones I think Tiber Septim. He was like the main emperor who brought Morrowind in with the treaty signing.
Yeah,
and then Uriel. Yeah, he got.
But no, I almost feel like the events of Oblivion are more apt to discuss today.
Yeah, you're right. And plus, what's really interesting, although the expansions negate this point that I was just about to make, which is that Oblivion, the hero of Kvatch, as he's known, or she, is the only one that's just like a person. Like in Morrowind, you play the Nerevarine. You're this weapon of prophecy, reborn with like Azura's blessing and this thing. And in Skyrim, you're the Dovahkiin, you're the Dragonborn. You have this role to fill. But Hero of Kvatch, he's just some dude. But then later, because of the expansions, you go to the Shivering Isles and you do take on the mantle of the Daedric Prince of Madness.
Daggerfall was also just a guy, though.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, I'm showing my ignorance here.
Yep. Yeah, it's what happens when you join an Act 3, Rett, is,
the best act. Sorry.
We used to be a society.
I have a whole 30-minute video about, Daggerfall is great. It's really big and cool and what a tech show piece. But anyway, here's this other game that's they said, you know what? This game was too big. Let's make it smaller, better, hand-laid, curated.
Yes.
Morrowind, baby.
If we're going to talk Morrowind, I figured I'd open a beer because I wasn't sure when I'd get to introduce it, but I derailed him with Oblivion talk. Today I am opening up a Freem Dank IPA. This is a fantastic local beer out of Portland. We use the dankest hops we could find in our Dank IPA. Its dramatic notes of tropical fruit and blueberry and its fresh hoppy finish convinced us it was a good decision. 7.76 if I remember right.
Nice. I'm drinking some type of Merlot. Don't know what. But it's tasty. It's good.
Some type of red is usually the best kind of red.
And it's red season, baby. So.
Yep. I had a bottle of Cab over the weekend. That was fantastic. I don't even remember what it was, but it was really good. And it was like $11 at the store. And
I appreciate that. See, now if you want to get down and dirty in some red seed, my trick is this: you go to grocery outlet. I probably told you this before.
Oh, yeah.
Grocery outlets where you can buy the wine for $6.
Yep.
And it's all the good stuff.
Yep.
I don't know how they negotiate all these deals or whatever. And I know grocery outlet is it's kind of like the bottom of the truck type stuff where the trucks are offloading it. The store's not going to take it, so they bring it on down to grocery outlet and you get a big discount and stuff. But their prices have held firm for years. It's impressive.
Well, and my Chrome is acting up something fierce. I'm just gonna. What in the world is going on? We're just gonna close all my Chrome. We're gonna reopen it. There we go. All right.
Probably closing in time for all of us to abandon Chrome anyways, but...
Yeah, the only reason I still use it on this PC, I have moved over to on all my other PCs, but I use multiple browsers on this PC because I don't want if I'm showing a website, like here we go, like this is Firefox, and I don't want to type something in or have it autofill a password that anything like that. And so on this particular PC, Firefox is my 100% clean browser that is only ever used for the show.
I like it.
So, yeah. Anyway, we did get an early super chat from Terror Pup, sends over $5. Thank you very much. Happy to not be traveling, drinking a soda tonight, just a birch beer. Nothing wrong with a birch beer. I like a good birch beer every once in a while. Let's see. We do have some beer shout-outs to give. Coffee and Cynicism, enjoying a Wolf's Ridge Brewing Direwolf Russian Imperial Stout. I have not heard of that one. Elmo says, Luigi is a very attractive man. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he's the taller of the two Mario brothers. Let's see.
See, I thought in the lore, though, Luigi was supposed to be the coward.
Well, I mean, that tracks. He did shoot him in the back.
I was gonna say, there's a whole can of worms there too. But how far can I take it?
Sorry, I've not been feeling well for the last couple of days, and so I have zero filter at this point.
You don't have to apologize to me. We can keep it going. I mean, we'll just pepper them in for the rest of the night.
Yeah. 3 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I don't sit up front at comedy shows.
Dude, you ready for Steve Hofstetter, though?
I am ready for... Holy crap.
Dude, my buddy Alex, who books that theater... By the way, Steve Hofstetter reached out to them. He was like, you guys got a cool space. Can I come play it? And they're like,
nice.
Yeah, sure. I was telling my buddy, I was like, yeah, man, I went ahead and bought tickets anyway just to support the show and the theater and everything. But I was like, but it would be cool if we could volunteer and hang out, in case Steve Hofstetter's hanging around. And he's like, yeah, no big deal. And I went to the theater later and he's like, so who is this guy? I was like, what?
You know what's cool? Go ahead. I don't want.
No, I was just gonna say, don't you use the internet? He's all over YouTube, and it's like, I'm on TikTok. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So I've seen Steve Hofstetter play once before, and it was in 2018. He was starting to get big on the internet, but he was still kind of he wasn't selling out huge venues or anything like that. I saw him play at Cubanissimo Winery to 35 people.
Oh, that's dope.
That was the coolest thing ever. And he was starting to make it big and starting to really catch a stride on YouTube and things like that. I think he had 500,000 subscribers on YouTube at that point, but that was when a lot of his stuff was really starting to go viral. Also, the week that he played the Cubanissimo Winery here in Salem, was also the week that the white supremacists and Nazis found him and were sending him legitimate death threats. And so he actually got to talk to the FBI office in Salem about those death threats. And that's where that whole, he's got a whole video explaining all of that, but that was the week that he was here.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. Can't wait to see him again. I was really upset because another one on my list that I want to go see is Taylor Tomlinson, and she played 3 nights in Portland, and it happened to be the day that I was coming back from Nova Scotia this last time, and she won't be coming back to Portland for a year or two.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's So I'm actually considering traveling to go see her do a show.
That'd be worth it. She's funny.
Yeah, she's funny as hell. But yeah, no, this is first time I've seen a comic twice. I've seen a lot of different comics. Whenever they come to Portland, I try to get tickets. But Yeah, the Steve will be my first repeat. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And he's come a long way since 2018, so.
Yeah, for sure.
And if we play our cards right, we can get some heckling content for him. Just kidding. Please, let's not heckle.
Please no. Please no. I saw Daniel Tosh when he came to Salem one time.
Nice.
That was a good show. So yeah, seen quite a few people come through here. Let's see. Veronica's in chat. Hello, folks. Hello. How are you tonight?
Cheers, Veronica.
Okay, so the good news is restarting Chrome seemed to help that. So maybe it was just a Chrome issue pending an update or something like that. But yeah, like my Chrome tab like completely froze and my YouTube thing was spinning. But I checked OBS and OBS is fine. We're not dropping any frames this week. Yeah. So hopefully we're all good. Although I didn't increase the bandwidth from last week when we were having problems. So maybe I'll do that now.
Winning. Yeah, remember that one?
I do remember that one. I remember it had already faded into obscurity by the time you started using it, so.
Yeah, I'm known, they call me the Gravedigger. Because I just bring the bad jokes. Bring them back alive.
Anyway, good to see everyone. Let's get this show started. Starting with the big news for the week, in my eyes anyway. Itch.io was temporarily taken down by their domain registrar because of an AI-powered brand protection company that created a bogus phishing report. Let's just be clear. I am pissed about this.
Because this is like, it's on par in so many ways with like the DMCA takedowns and stuff that YouTubers face, where it's becoming more and more automated. There's less and less human touch. There's fewer and fewer people to appeal to and look at. And it's just garbage. It shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Yep. For those who don't know, itch.io was taken down for about 6 hours or so. This happened on, I think it was Monday. I want to say it was Monday. Maybe Sunday night. But itch.io received a report of phishing activity on one of their pages. And so itch removed that page. The game in question, I actually have a little bit of a breakdown here. It was a game called Funko Fusion, with links to the official site and screenshots of the game. And that was links to the Funko Pop website, as well as screenshots from Funko Fusion, which was like a Funko-inspired thing, indie game that itch.io was hosting. They received a notification that it had potentially malicious content, and itch went, yeah, no problem, remove, because why fight a lot of these things? Like, it takes so much effort to fight these things, and also you want to be in compliance. You don't want to be hosting things that are ripping off other people's IP or anything like that. So yeah, if you receive a notice, just take it down. If the content creator themselves wants to go fight it, that's their prerogative. But and to be clear, every web host does this. Every web host goes, I'm not going to fight for you. If you want to fight it, you can fight it, and then we'll rehost it once you win. But same thing with YouTube, and that's the thing with DMCA, is the web host to receive DMCA protections has to immediately take things down. And itch.io did that. However, Brand Shield is the name of this company, also issued a malicious fraud and phishing report to their domain registrar, because explicitly they wanted to get the registrar's attention, and DMCAs sometimes don't do that. So they knowingly issued a false report to the domain registrar. Now, itch.io had already complied with the takedown request, but the registrar probably didn't see that and proceeded to blacklist itch.io from DNS and effectively taking the site down. All of this stems, by the way, from Brand Shield using an AI tool. AI-powered tool to search for and issue automatic takedown notices. I'm pretty sure I was subject to a very similar thing earlier this year. I actually got a channel strike earlier this year because of a 5-year-old episode of Talking Heads that mentioned Fallout 76 hacks. And the takedown was issued by a third party on the behest of Bethesda. Right. In which it was a DMCA, but it was a DMCA strike. They said, we want this removed and we want the creator punished. Not just a takedown request or a monetization share or something like that. Like there's various things that you can request YouTube do. Bethesda requested to remove my channel. And I was issued a strike. I fought the strike. And I emailed Bethesda. And I went to, at the time, Twitter, to voice my displeasure. Because it was a DMCA in which they stated I reused Bethesda property relating to Fallout 76. However, during the 4-minute talk that we did on Talking Heads, I never once posted a screenshot or linked to any Bethesda IP. I simply talked about it. And you know what I talked about? Hey, Bethesda, you'd better get your shit together because you're doing client-side authentication for server inputs on Fallout 76, which means it's going to be ripe for hacking and people cheating in the game. It's not a good way to run a server. And 5 years later, I get a channel strike. Again. Yeah.
In 5 years, they're going to look back at this one.
Yeah. So nothing nefarious about my content, about the talk, about anything, nor did I even screenshot anything. We literally just talked about it. Now, here's the thing with DMCAs. And here's the thing with other forms of legal notices. They have to be issued in good faith. Good faith means you have a reason to believe so me as a
person.
Not me as a person, me as a business. Me as let's say I'm Bethesda. And I find someone who is violating my IP. They are reusing my intellectual property. They are rehosting images. They're doing something that they shouldn't be doing with my intellectual property. I can, in good faith, knowing and verifying that my images are being used without my consent, issue a DMCA takedown. Let's put it another way. I've issued DMCAs before to numerous different channels who have rehosted my content. So people have re-uploaded my content. I have verified that they have re-uploaded my content and issued a good faith DMCA takedown in which I have verified and can swear in front of a court, you're using my IP. That's what good faith means, is I believe it to be true. The thing with these AI takedowns, though, is unless a human verifies it, it's not in good faith. And
that would defeat the whole purpose of having an AI-powered,
well, the AI can compile a list for you, but then it still should be up to a human to determine whether or not that's a violation of IP.
That's a whole person they have to pay, Jeff.
That's a whole person they have to pay. AI can make your job easier, but it can't replace your job.
Yeah, well. We've been tooting that horn for a long time.
Right. The issue at hand is that this was not a takedown done in good faith. This was not a legal document or a legal notice posted in good faith. This was specifically not issuing a DMCA takedown notice or request. This was going after the registrar and saying there's fraud and phishing happening on this domain to get it taken down when it was simply an IP conflict.
Yeah. The part that bothers me about this is like part of a larger conversation too about it, which is that like somebody should be held to account for issues like this, but they never will because they can hide behind and say, well, it's the tool's fault. But at a certain point, you've got to be aware that these are the types of mistakes that your tool is capable of making. And somebody said it in chat earlier, like people get arrested because a false hit on some facial recognition thing with an AI. And, oh, let's go get our bad guy. It's the wrong guy. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's like very dystopian. But even this other small stuff, like, you know, luckily I knew an example of in real life of a lawyer who had used it to like draft all of his like legal briefings. Guy didn't even check it. And the judge, this was in the early days, right? Judge didn't even bat an eyelash. Charged him with contempt, put him in jail.
Yep.
Like, good.
As well he should have, right.
You should have verified the things that were in your briefs.
Yep.
Like, and it was one of these classic examples we heard about all the time where it had just fabricated case law, basically being like, yeah, well, in this case, you know, this precedent was set. And like, luckily a clerk looked at it and was like, wait, where is that case? I can't find it.
That's not a case number.
Yeah. Right. Like, and this is the same example. And it's like Itch had to go down for like, you know, how long?
It was about 6 hours. Yeah.
It went down and it's like, that's everybody on Itch not making money. Everybody on Itch.
Yep.
And then not only that, Jeff, I saw somebody, I can't find it. It's probably in my likes. I could probably find it there. One of the people at Itch shared. Yeah. Let me see. Who's this guy?
This is LeFo. If you're, I believe it's the one you're linking to.
Well, Futterfish at futterfish.bsky.social. He oh no! It's a screenshot of Itch. Said this is a joke. Funko just called my mom.
Oh, and,
did you see that one?
Yes, I did see that one.
It's like,
got a strange call
from a company.
Yeah.
Got a strange call from a company about accusatory statements on your social media account. Call me. Yeah, apparently that was something that they must have shared that on Twitter or something because I don't see it on Bluesky, but
yeah.
But like, what a joke! Now you're calling people's moms? Like, dude. Which shows you that they're taking it to a whole new level. It's more than just a mess up. Now they got to like ensure that people know that it's not just, you know, egg on their face.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this response. So this was on Hacker News. And this is kind of a breakdown of what exactly happened. So from LeFo, I'm the one running Itch.io. So here's some more context for you. From what I can tell, some person made a fan page for an existing Funko Pop video game called Funko Fusion with links to the official site and screenshots of the game. The Brand Shield software is probably instructed to eradicate all unauthorized use of their trademark, so they sent reports independently to our host and registrar claiming that there was fraud and phishing going on, likely to cause escalation instead of doing the expected DMCA cease and desist. Because of this, I honestly think they're the malicious actor in all of this. 5 or 6 days ago, I received these reports on our host, Linode, and from our registrar, iwantmyname.com. I expressed my disappointment in my responses to both of them, but told them I had removed the page and disabled the account. Linode confirmed and closed the case. I Want My Name never responded. This evening, I got a downtime alert, and while debugging, I noticed that the domain status had been set to a server hold on I Want My Name's domain panel. We have no other abuse reports from I Want My Name other than this one. I'm assuming no one on their end closed the ticket, so it went to an automatic system to disable the domain after a number of days. I've been trying to get in touch with them via their abuse and support emails, but no responses, likely due to the time of day, so I decided to escalate the issue myself on social media. Yeah.
What a pain.
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass. And again, it's like, yeah, it's itch, but it's also every creator that sells on itch.
Yeah.
That's being punished. And there's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not just games, it's books and it's little apps that do all this. Like, there's a shit ton of people on itch.
Yeah. If I can, for a moment, also flip the argument to Funko Pop, to the brand itself that contracted with Brand Shield and thus issued this takedown request. I have zero problem with companies protecting their intellectual property. Do not misunderstand, like, me saying that this was bad faith argument. This was a bad faith argument, but I have no problem with brands or content creators or anyone really defending their IP. I defend my IP. If I see my videos hosted on another website, I take it down no matter how monotonous and time consuming and whatnot that process may be, because I own my IP and my IP is mine and mine alone. And I should be monetized and compensated if my IP goes to other places. I have stipulations within my contracts that I sign with companies for doing advertisements for them or sponsored videos. My sponsored video will be published on my platform and my platform alone unless you license it from me.
Mm-hmm.
So... yes, there are things in place that I have to protect my own IP, and I will defend my IP vigorously. I know it's just a silly video, but at the same time, that silly video is my livelihood, and I want to be paid for it.
In your mouth.
Right.
And you're also not Funko Pop though either. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's I think it's great. It's a thing that's understandable. But you're also not contracting.
Mm-hmm.
Like some AI to do this for you.
Right. I'm not contracting some AI company to go out and find every instance of craft computing videos that have been published illicitly. And
your entire business isn't built on just licensing other people's stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to rag on Funko Pop too hard, but I'm like, of course it's Funko Pop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, look, protect your IP, protect your whatever. This game had nothing to do with your product. And you know what? What is your product? Your product is just licensing other people's stuff.
Well, and here's the other thing too, is there are policies and methods in place in the legal system and in content creation and in the internet itself to deal with issues like this. And it's the DMCA.
Yeah.
You decided to go another route to escalate beyond the point that was necessary for this particular issue, and you caused a website to go down under false pretense, and that's not okay. Under no circumstances is it okay to nuke a website from orbit because a user submitted something to the website that has your IP on it, even if that was the case.
Which it wasn't.
Which it wasn't. It's taking down YouTube because someone rehosted one of my videos on YouTube on a different channel.
If Funko Pop had a person employed to sit at a desk and look at that, and their job, they had to pick up the phone and call somebody about this infringement, I guarantee you that person would be like, what? No, that's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
But if you could just scattershot a million takedowns to a million things, why wouldn't you do it?
Yep.
Because at worst case scenario right now, in the unregulated state of this technology and the way that it exists right now, worst case scenario, you fire a million shots, you take down however many of them for a certain amount of time, you increase your market share or something, right? Like the red line ticks upward ever slowly because there's one fewer thing on the Google search engine with the word Funko in it.
Yeah. And
which, by the way, should be your first red flag not to buy from them because that's a stupid word.
to loop this back around to my Bethesda comparison earlier this year with my channel, the only reason my channel was ever flagged is because I had Fallout 76 and hack in the title of my video. That's what set this off. And that's why I received a DMCA strike. That's why YouTube struck my channel. I also got in contact, I believe, with 3 or 4 other content creators who had also been struck by the same domain with the same forum and also received channel strikes. I reached out to Bethesda Legal. ZeniMax Legal, which is the parent company at the time. This was before the Microsoft takeover. I reached out to ZeniMax and I said, can you confirm that these strikes are from Bethesda and not from some freaking patent troll somewhere? Did you as the parent company authorize this? Is this domain acting as an agent of Bethesda / ZeniMax Corp? And number 2, was this issued in good faith or not? Did someone verify before these went out? Because in my particular case, I can promise you they didn't. I did get a response from ZeniMax Legal that said, we can confirm that these were sent by a third party contracted by ZeniMax to search for IP. They didn't say anything else. Good on them, because had they addressed my bad faith argument, they would have admitted to being in violation of the DMCA and subject to legal recourse.
Smart.
I was trying to catch them just a little bit, and they didn't take the bait. But they did confirm that it was a company acting with authorization of ZeniMax to take down content. And I also mentioned the other 3 or 4 channels, and all of those strikes were removed within the same day.
Nice.
Because I fought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lots of people are talking about AI in chat. Veronica says, I don't know what a Funko is, but I think a lot of folks use LLM tools because of the pressure to move faster than competition, and I think that the culture of move fast and break things is challenging. And I think there's a whole conversation to be had there about move fast and break things. I don't think it's not a good culture at all. And in fact, it's led directly to like this rot economy that we exist in right now, where mass and shitification is literally making customers suffer and making their products worse to use than ever. There's a whole lot more to go into there, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Jeff wanted Bethesda to pay for his new office with the wording in that email.
That would have been nice.
I didn't threaten legal action, but I wanted clarification on why the takedown was issued. And I was hoping that they would take the bait. I did send it direct to ZeniMax Legal, and so I assumed they wouldn't take the bait, but it's like, oh please. Like, lay this out on a silver platter for me.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Mike Jones says they're having a debate about AI products or whatever, and he says that the ability to choose to have rules is the free will I'm talking about. It's the mark of intelligence, and the only way that AI will truly be intelligent is when it can choose its own destiny.
If we scroll up in the chat a little bit, by the way, Dr. Cuttress is in the chat as well. He said, machine learning is fuzzy math, and you get fuzzy results. Yep.
I like it.
Yep. He also says I move slow and break things. Mostly myself. Does that count? The older I get, the slower I move, and the more I break things.
At least that's socially responsible. I think the socially irresponsible part is the moving fast part.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
We really owe a lot to the enshittification of all of the digital tools we use to Steve Jobs, don't we?
A little bit. A little bit.
And Mike, I was not calling you out on that. I just thought it was an interesting question.
Yeah. What the hell is a Funko? Yeah, there's a lot of people who said I'm just now learning of Funkos. They're all the little figurines. You see them in Target and GameStops and things like that. Basically, they are a generic. Used to be bobbleheads, but now they're Funko Pops, and they're a cartoonized version of characters in a very distinct style. And they license a lot of different characters. They've got Marvel, they've got Star Wars, they've got Five Nights at Freddy's, they've got everything. I mean,
it's just any IP you can imagine. They've licensed it and they've made some stupid figurine out of it.
Yep.
I think, like, and my mythology on this is probably wrong because, like, I just equate them with people I don't like, but it seems like they really took off during like the loot box era, like when loot box actual like products took off, like the actual
loot
like
crates.
Subscription box. Loot crate.
Yeah.
When Loot Crate took off, that was like, I feel like Funko Pops that's kind of when those started really popping off, but I could be wrong about it.
Veronica says we're doing a move slow and fix things shirt, but ironically it's taking too much time to make. That is amazing. And Ian says the more technical you are, the less technical you make your life. No one in security has a digital lock, for example. And you are so incredibly right in that statement. I don't know too many people in the YouTube/security space. I don't know anyone in the security space who has a smart home that's not a self-hosted smart home. Mm-hmm. Like, I know some people who use Home Assistant, but they also use like off-the-shelf dumb controllers for their lights. They're not doing the, hey Alexa, turn off the lights. They have a phone app or a tablet mounted to the wall that controls all their lights direct through Home Assistant. And it's an offline, secure, self-hosted way to do it. I hate smart devices. I hate the Internet of Things. I hate so much smart lights and locks and security cameras and everything else that track analytics and give you recommendations based on how you live your life. I don't want my car automatically turning on my heater at 7:30 every morning. I want to turn on the heater.
Yeah, exactly. Same. See, Aaron says this. I'm so stuck on this thing that Aaron up here said. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, AI is getting better at diagnosing diseases, finding patterns that can help address real-world problems. It helps people tone down some of their writing. And I want to know in what world people's writing in today's day and age needs to be toned down.
Have you read a news article in the last 4 years? Because 90% of it is filler.
Right. But is like AI going to tone it down? Because that's the weird thing, is that when you read an AI generated answer, it does the same thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because we've been reading AI generated news off and on. But it's so funny. I see it on YouTube a lot, where people will write comments using ChatGPT. And you can tell it's ChatGPT because it uses just the same structure. Mm-hmm. And it uses the same words. And it uses and it's weird. I mean, I want to live in a world where people's writing is toned up, Like, I want to be able to tell whose reporting I'm reading in the paper. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't mind a little bit of character when you're writing work.
Not at all.
That's why we invented the damn stuff anyways. You know what I mean? Like, let's have some fun with it. Let's get poetical. Give me a good metaphor. Don't tone it down.
Jazz it up a bit. That's what I want.
Come on. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority, maybe I'm and he's saying it's corporate speak. I've worked in corporations. I've written these types of letters and these types of emails, and yeah, I actually just got some feedback today, where they said that Rett wants Alex Jones on Adderall. No, but Alex Jones is the type of person, when I say tone it up, he can't write anything anyways because he's got the same problem as the other stuff where he says so much without saying anything.
Yeah. It's the circle speak of self-confirmation.
Right, and he'll belch out like something like, it's turning the frogs gay or whatever. And yeah, okay, I know Alex Jones wrote it and Alex Jones said it, but like it's circle talk. Like you said, it's like he just goes around and around and around and around, and he's bringing up new things before he's even demonstrated the other things that he said. And you're just overwhelmed with the sheer volume of shit that he's spewing. Like, Alex Jones is the epitome of somebody who needs to tone it up because he's toned down to the max. And yeah, he says a lot, but he ain't saying much.
No. An excellent chef sends over $2 Canadian. Thank you very much. What's your opinion on local AI versus cloud AI? I don't think AI is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think AI is a very powerful tool. But it's a tool.
And local
it's
AI
a tool that
versus
needs to be
cloud AI.
wielded, not something to be set free.
Mm-hmm. And I think like the local versus cloud debate is kind of an interesting one. Because to me, I think like there's an aspect of like local stuff that's like the most ethical as well. Like you see all of these reports coming out about our power utility providers, Jeff, and how costs are soaring for the residential consumer, but those costs are driven by their industrial and enterprise level consumer based on AI products in Oregon.
Yeah.
You and I are going to be paying like 50% extra next year based on the industrial partners utilizing AI.
Yep.
I'm fine if they want to use it and they want to pay for it. That's something that's different. But we are subsidizing their power use, and that's stupid. And I don't know. And I think that there's something that's, and then it comes back to this weird idyllic vision of computing I have, where it's like you can kind of see the future where everybody has like their own like mainframe type thing in their house, and computing is all local, and like everybody has their own like enterprise, USS Enterprise computer in their house or whatever to help them with their garden or whatever.
That's Wendell's vision.
That's fun and that's cool, And if you have your own little AI thing that's running on that and you can afford to power it and cool it and do all that, like that's neat and that's cool, that's interesting. That's a lot cooler than creating all these enshittified products, forcing them on everybody, every consumer at every level, and pretending like this is something that we want and something that's going to advance us. It's not. This is all marketing bullshit. It's just a gimmick to sell products, to sell silicon, to make their line on this grid that none of us care about tick upwards.
A little bit. Anyway. A little bit. There are good things in AI, like genome research and
that's cool, but that's stuff that they've been doing with like deep learning and stuff for a long time. Like
you're not wrong, but machine learning got rebranded as AI the second they thought they could consumerize and commercialize the product. Generative AI is simply an amalgam of figuring out what something looks like and trying to spit out something that's reasonably close. And that is the context for the writing. That is how it does image generation. That's how it does a lot of things. It's trained on, hey, this image right here looks like a blueberry. And then you ask AI what a blueberry looks like, and it'll look through its library of 1 million different pictures of blueberries, and it'll put out an amalgamation of what a blueberry looks like. And while that's a great tool for replicating things that have been done before, it's not necessarily the greatest thing for creating new things. And I've said this before, like, if I could, as an artist, get a starting point for something, if I could, as a dungeon master playing D&D, have it visualize pieces of my campaign, if I could, I want to create a character in D&D, and I want to see him, and I can give like exacting details on what that character looks like, and different poses and different weapons that they're holding and things like that. Or in real time as a dungeon master, say this character, once we've trained the algorithm to say this is Aragorn or whatever else, put Aragorn in different scenarios, so you as a dungeon master can visualize to your players what's happened. That is a super cool real-time tool and real-time use case that I think could happen today, but probably will happen eventually. You know, there is use cases for generative AI in generalized compute, in generalized circumstances. The problem is right now is we're all floundering for use cases.
Exactly.
And
I mean, it's, you know, I think you said it one time, it's like a solution floundering for a problem or something like that. I think you said that on one show.
A solution in search of a problem. Yeah.
A solution in search of a problem. And if you didn't say that about this, it's something you say often that I think applies.
Yeah.
You know, and Zachary Solis says, if power is your concern, local AI is far worse than cloud AI. There's a lot that goes into power optimization for AI rigs and cloud providers. Considerations that the average local AI runner is honestly not doing. And my counter to that is that the number of local AI users is so far less than what we're seeing in cloud providers that it's like saying, well, if you're worried about climate change, like you ought to be worried about driving your car to work. When in reality, like that's nothing compared to what a shipping container does. A shipping container in a single day does what 50 million cars do. Or maybe it's a year, I don't know. But same thing with like commercial jet travel and all of this type of stuff. It's like, yeah, we got to move around and yeah, we got to do this, you know, but driving my car is not what's screwing up our future, right? And maybe I just don't understand enough about the AI comparison here or whatever. But it really feels like how many people are privately hosting and running their AI compared to the sheer scope of cloud providers.
Yeah.
Can't be close, right? I mean,
speaking of like daily use cases where they're trying to shoehorn in AI, Ian, Veronica, do either of you have the beta for AI comment replies? That is, you get a comment on YouTube and you get AI generated responses in your comment section that you can click on.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I get that just as like a user.
Yeah. Not everyone has it, but it's on mine and it's annoying as crap because kind of like making up lawyer case law, it makes up circumstances or things that I've talked about and tries to generalize them, and it sucks at it. And Ian says, yes, he does. Yeah.
The funny thing, Ed Zitron from the Better Offline podcast said it best, which is that all AI is for the average consumer is another button to avoid pressing in your browser.
Yeah.
It is another button to avoid pressing in your email or your Google workspace, or it's true. The number of times that I've been trying to go click my little waffle, button in my Gmail and it pulls up Gemini or whatever. I'm like, I've never wanted to push this button. Why did you put this here? Anyway.
Here's an example, okay? I did a preview of the 45 drives, 45 home lap HL8, right? In that video, I mentioned that the backplane in that server is a SAS backplane. However, the board that it ships with and the controller that it ships with is SATA only. And in most cases, unless you populate the PCI Express slot with a SAS controller, you're probably going to be running SATA only, and that's a limitation of that server. It's a limitation of the form factor. This is the most recent comment on that video. You mentioned the SAS backplane, so if I order the pre-built version, do I need to add on or select any options that will support those drives as it comes? And I got an AI-generated response that says, it should be able to support SAS drives, but you will need to select that option when ordering. No, because 45 Drives doesn't offer that option when ordering, and only I as a human would fucking understand that. You've taken words and put them together in a pleasing response that you think the user might engage with. The problem is it's technically wrong. And then the other response is, I believe it comes with a standard SAS backplane support. You should be good to go. No! I know, YouTube, you're trying to drive engagement, but you're driving engagement by being technically incorrect, by trying to deliver positive responses to people. And that's not the responses that I can give.
Ian says that he uses AI to create some of the B-roll voiceover, and people never realize it's not him.
Nope, they don't. Level 11 is freaking amazing.
And I think that that's an acceptable use case. Emulating your own voice is
me
totally
as a creator
reasonable.
being able to replicate my own voice, I think is a totally legitimate use case.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else using my voice, someone else use me inserting Jeff Geerling's voice into my videos, I think that's a little weird. The next response, TrueNAS as your VM host. I gave this a test a couple of months ago. I run a single VM in TrueNAS, and it's bizarrely stable. Slow as all heck, but that makes sense with how limited the resources are I've given it are. It chugs. I sigh, I walk away for a few minutes, come back, and it's finished. The AI responses to that comment are, I'm surprised to hear your experience is the opposite of mine, or it sounds like you're hitting a CPU bottleneck. It's taking my words and bending them to drive engagement. But neither of those things I would ever say in that circumstance. And every comment, like every, maybe 40% of comments, I get AI recommendations on now of how to respond to that comment.
You know, Aaron says it here that AI is driven by fast profits. And I think it's that reason that we're actually going to probably see like an AI crash soon. Because like right now we're just in an AI bubble, you know? Everything is being driven by... Yeah, go ahead.
Brand new RX 580 for under $100. The AliExpress RX 580 when this was all the rage a year or two ago. Someone said it's basically an RX 570 Ti LOL. So applying NVIDIA branding to AMD cards. One of my AI responses is, you're not wrong. It's a rebranded 570 Ti, but it's a really good deal for a value card. Stop it! I don't want this. I don't want to see it. It should not exist within my comment section unless I turn it on. And I would never turn this on because all your responses, YouTube, are bullshit. Every fucking one of them. God, I hate this.
I know. And what's funny about this is that people think, right? We're talking about engagement versus whatever. We're talking about this thing that all of these platforms want. And what's really funny to me is that Bluesky has really proven that people will engage with people.
Yeah.
And as Bluesky begins to become more popular and things like this, we are beginning to see bot accounts and stuff like that. But before, when we were in this kind of like sweet zone with Bluesky, you could have a fraction, like 1/10 the amount of followers that you had on Twitter, but you were having like exponentially more real engagement with real people about the stuff that you were doing. People want to engage with real people. We've had 10 years of dealing with the constant enshittification of our online spaces, our social media. When was the last time you're on Facebook? It's just constant, like, never-ending shit memes and, like, boomer posts, you know? And I'm just like, why do people... Anyway. So that's story number one. We finally made it through the first news story.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell that was a story I was mad about because I polished off that beer. Like it's gone.
I did open my second drink, and it's a liquid death. So just some nice crispy water.
Yep. My second drink, I've talked at length whenever I review stouts or winter ales or things like that about beers that are called winter warmers. Winter warmers are nice, warm, comfort food in a can that it's like pouring yourself a glass of brandy and sitting by a nice fire, like on Christmas Eve. Like that to me is a winter warmer. However, winter warmer is technically a style of beer. And today, I have a winter warmer. This is from Level Beer up in Portland, Oregon. This is the Neon Snowsuit Winter Warmer Ale.
That looks delicious.
I have not tried this beer before. I haven't even looked at this beer before. The can art alone sold me on the beer because they've got some fantastic can art that I think might even make Epos Vox start to drink beer. They are just
I like it.
Fantastically 90s, late 80s neon.
Yeah.
It's great. Ooh, nice brown ale, multicolor, little red. So a winter warmer is basically like a very malty red ale. Very similar to red ales, brown ales, but on the much more malty side of things. Less hops, less distraction there. But winter spices. So you normally think like allspice and nutmeg and things like that. It's a malty version of that. So good looking beer.
Veronica asks why they're called Liquid Death.
Branding.
It's just silly marketing. Yeah,
merchandising.
This is the first time I've ever bought one. This is actually the first time I've ever had one.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Grocery Outlet buying my wine, and they had a case for $10. And I'd spend more than that buying like LaCroix and other sparkling water stuff like that. And I like the branding. I mean, I'm like a metalhead, and like that's like a total heavy metal, can art and everything. And but yeah, Liquid Death, it kills your thirst. Hashtag death to plastic. I guess they're big into recycling. Although the really funny thing about that is, like, for all of their branding and marketing about environmental awareness and aluminum recycles better than plastic, I saw that they diversified into NFTs during that craze, which was super funny to me. But
yeah.
So, like, it is all just marketing. This isn't like a brand that I like believe in or whatever.
It's sparkling water. It's sparkling water. I will say it is good sparkling water. I bought numerous cases of Liquid Death. They also have some light flavored ones.
Yeah, they got flavors are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is, like, it's not too sparkling, so it goes down easy. And the other thing that's kind of neat is that I see people drinking these all the time in social settings when other people are drinking alcohol. Yeah. And you blend in a lot. Like, especially when people are on like their second or third beer, you blend in with this. Yes. It looks like a beer.
Right.
It's in a tall boy, so yeah, I'm just giving it a go. So far, I mean, I kind of approve. It's fun.
The lime is probably my favorite. They've got a lime one that's just I'm a sucker for that just touch of lime in a sparkling water.
Oh yeah.
Just a little seltzer.
Same.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. Yeah, their lime is great. Yeah, mulled wine, nut brown ale, honey brown ale. Yes, all of that. So here we go. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Very much that brown ale, what we call hazelnuts. Little bit of a nutty flavor towards the end of it. A little spicy towards the back. Like a rye peppercorn, but a little bit sweeter.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, like salted peanuts with just like a dash of like peppercorn on top is kind of like the back end of this. And maybe just a touch of sugar, like brown sugar. Like
I feel like you wouldn't anticipate that based on the can art.
No.
I see the can art and it looks like a hazy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you think hazy IPA. That's exactly right. Yeah. Kind of like a rye whiskey, where it's a little bit of that peppercorn, little honey, little molasses, and a little peppercorn. But up front, it's like this delicious brown ale. Very, very malty.
Oh. Hey,
That's good. I like that.
A little bit of news that I could squeeze in. This isn't on our agenda, but
sure.
Any of our gaming comrades out there in the chat. December 5th, so that would have been last Thursday, wouldn't have been covered on the show.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite games finally left early access after over a decade, like maybe even 15 years. Caves of Qud, one of the best roguelikes out there. Qud is spelled with a Q, Q-U-D. Left early access, went into version 1.0, had their official release. And I suggest anybody that's into roguelikes, this is one of the deepest, one of the best. It's got really cool
Hey, look,
artwork.
you can get it on itch.io.
Yeah, you can. It's got really cool artwork. It's very like ASCII art.
This is
so
totally
deep.
like Red Dragon-esque.
It is, but it's even deeper. It's like this game is so bizarre. Like you can like mutate to have like 4 arms and hold like 4 weapons, and you have like different stats for each arm. Like the stat system is so deep and so manipulatable. And the exploration is bonkers. And they got different modes. So they've got like the hardcore roguelike mode where it's permadeath. You got to be careful. They've got role-playing mode, which allows you to save your progress every time you enter a safe settlement. Mm-hmm. And then you have just like free mode where you can save at any time and start over, because it is really a really hard game. Yeah. But dude, the storyline is dope. The world is dope. The music, the ambiance, like leveling up and exploring. Anybody who's into roguelikes, anybody who's into like those super deep, weird, esoteric games, go check it out.
Any of you old BBS RPG players will look like you will be right at home here.
Yeah, it is so fun. It is so good. Yeah, I figured I'd just give that a shout out because I'm super stoked. I bought the game years ago while I was in early access, so it's been kind of fun, like seeing it develop and everything. And it runs flawlessly on Steam Deck. So I play it on Steam Deck. There's like the occasion that you have to like press the button to like use the mouse or whatever. Kind of that weird like hold one of those extra buttons and use the trackpad type thing.
I forgot you got my other Steam Deck. I wound up with 2 of them, and I'm like, hey, want a Steam Deck?
Hell yeah, dude. I play it every day. It's freaking awesome. There's very few games, like I played through Baldur's Gate 3 on that.
Yeah.
Like, and that game, like what's funny is like that's not the type of game I would ever play with like a gamepad. But now I sit down on a PC and I'm like, what? How? I need a controller. Yeah, Red Dead plus Oregon Trails, man. I don't know if you're talking about Caves of Cud, but it kind of like it really has this deep type stuff like that, like the exploration of like Oregon Trail, the exploration of that type of stuff, mixed in with these deep systems. I've made the comparison to Oregon Trails before, which is why I mentioned it. I don't know if that's what Michael was talking about, but
yeah. Well, one of my favorite games of speaking of like Oregon Trail type games, Oregon Trail. If you've ever played that.
Yeah, we had a laugh about that the other day. My wife has agreed, probably like a year ago at this point, because she doesn't play video games at all.
Yeah. And
she agreed that I could pick 3 games and she would play them, no questions asked. This was as an attempt to like introduce her to video games, get her interested in playing video games.
Yeah.
And we were looking through Steam the other day and we saw Oregon Trail. And had a really good laugh about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon Trail is pretty fantastic. It's the Oregon Trail as you remember it. But it's during a zombie apocalypse, and you're trying to make it to Salem or to the Oregon coast where there's no zombies. And so you're driving a beat-up station wagon across the country, and you have to hunt in grocery stores for food, and you can only carry so much food with you, and you have to you do the old like hunting for buffalo, but you do that to shoot zombies. So the just up, down, left, right, and shooting like individual pixels at zombies. It's great.
That sounds really fun.
Speaking of gaming handhelds, there's about to be some massive changes when it comes to gaming handhelds, because I guarantee some of these chips will be making it into the higher end handhelds. The AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus. AI Max Plus Pro 395, also known as Strix Halo, has leaked in Geekbench. This is the APU that I have been begging AMD to make for 5 years. AMD launched their APU lineup with Ryzen CPUs and Radeon APUs, or Radeon Graphics Integrated, back in 2019 with the Ryzen 2200G and Ryzen 2400G, based on Zen Plus and RDNA. Or no, sorry, based on Vega. And they had 8 compute units and 11 compute units for graphics. And it was like, oh, that's cute. But they were competent enough. They were about on par with like a GT 1030. You could play Grand Theft Auto in most AAA games, albeit at 1080p low settings. Not unlike handhelds today. Like their handhelds today are a little bit faster than that, but they're not like dramatically faster than that. And the biggest issue is the number of compute units that they're putting towards graphics. Is they've always used like the smallest amount of silicon possible to gear towards their graphics APUs. They did some 12 compute unit graphics at one point, but most of the time it's been between like 8, 10, 11, and really nothing ever beyond that. Until we got to Zen 4 with the 7980U, which is the APU that's used on basically every gaming handheld. And it's 8 Zen 4 cores and 12 compute units of, or is it 16? I think it's 16. 16 compute units of RDNA 2. It's like, that's way better. That's way faster. That's much, much better. Well, it's been rumored that Strix Halo is going to be coming out with a 20 compute unit model. And I'm like, that's really cool. But there's no reason you couldn't do more. And I've been whispering this in every AMD person's ear that I could get for like the last 5 years. The Ryzen AI Max Plus Pro 395, on top of being one of the dumbest AMD product names of all time.
Max Plus Pro.
is 16 Zen 5 cores, 32 threads, 3 gigahertz base clock with a 4.2 gigahertz turbo and boost up to 5.1, as well as 40 RDNA 3.5 cores.
This works, Jeff.
This would put it on integrated graphics, maybe somewhere up RTX 3060 ish equivalent. And if you consider what we've been using, which every single handheld game review, it's like, yeah, run this at 1080p low settings, or maybe even drop to 720. Suddenly, like, 1080 medium, 1080 high is not out of the equation in a sub 50 watt package. 16 cores, 32 threads, 40 compute units of RDNA 3.5. And I would argue, why are you giving me 16 cores? Can you slash that chip in half? Can you give me 8 cores and 16 threads? Can you give me 6 cores and 12 threads? Because I don't need the compute that you think I need for a good gaming experience. So that's my next thing, is not only driving the graphics processing power up, but also driving the cost down. Now, don't get me wrong, AMD didn't listen to me on this. This is simply a chip yield issue that they decided to finally grace us with. But I've been asking every single time I see an AMD rep, I'm like, so when are we going to get more compute units? When are we going to hit 20? When are we going to hit 32? Like, there's no reason you can't do it. You just haven't. Like, for God's sake, Intel got 24 compute units of integrated Vega back with their Skull Canyon NUCs. Hades Canyon NUCs. Why can you not put 24 compute units of graphics power into the APUs that you yourself make? And they just haven't. Until now, we're getting 40 compute units. Freaking finally.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, LPDDR5, surely. Yeah, definitely. Probably 8,000, 8,600. Right around there would be my guess.
Ian's throwing some shade here. He says the reps you speak to aren't in control of SKU stack, unfortunately.
I know they're not, but I know they talk to the people who are. Sometimes.
Now, Ian, on the other hand...
Yeah. Ian, I've been telling you the same damn thing for years. Why isn't that message getting through, buddy? I know the people you know.
He's like, unless I can tell them it's my idea, I don't tell them it.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you want me to ask the new Intel product CEO at CES, Jeff? Ooh, that's a good question. Why do you pretend your graphics division doesn't exist? Why do you have this ragtag team that's putting out genuinely good products that genuinely could shake up an industry and actually sell SKUs?
And did you see the Steam
and you're giving them
survey?
Leftover scraps.
The Steam hardware survey for the first time started including...
They did.
The Arc products, yeah.
Right. Like, I understand from a development standpoint, are we sure we want to get into this right now when really Intel at its core is trying to reduce SKU counts? Like, that's one of the main things you do when you're overexpended is you say, what divisions don't we need to support right now? But the thing is, the graphics division can genuinely change the market and sell product. Especially because all of the hype from the other manufacturers right now, AMD and NVIDIA, is based solely off of their AI products at the high end of things. How much silicon can we fit onto a GPU, and how can that GPU be utilized in the AI space? And so all of our products right now are based on what AI is selling, and then we get cuts down from that die. which means we're spending $400 for any semblance of a graphics card. And Intel is coming in at a very legitimate like contender to 1080p 1440p graphics, $250. And from what I hear, they've also cut their top SKU of the XE32, and they're selling the XE22. Because I know people too, Ian. And they're just getting like, look, it's been rumored since the inception of Intel Graphics that Intel Graphics is going to be cut. And so far it hasn't. And I don't know if they've just slipped through enough corporate cracks that no one actually knows who they answer to, so that division hasn't been cut yet. Or what's going on.
They're operating out of a broom closet that nobody with any authority to cut never opens the door.
Right. I mean,
like, well, that's a broom closet. We don't open that one.
But, and I know it's not the biggest division at Intel, but I feel it's a division at Intel that could be a revenue winner, especially with how high a lot of the market is for graphics right now. Bring the consumers a graphics solution that makes freaking monetary sense. Not everyone has $1,500 for a graphics card. Hell, no one had $1,500 for a graphics card 10 years ago. Like, this is a market that's been invented because of AI. And the fact that the cheapest graphics card on the market today is $350 for an RTX 4060 Ti, and all reviewers go like, yeah, they're still just bullshit. Yeah, it's still just garbage silicon that they're giving you. Intel, come in and swoop up that market of $100 to $300 and freaking own that market. And then see what it turns into.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I wish I understood more about kind of the path that Intel has laid themselves on, because it really seemed as though they were kind of going all in with this like chips funding that they got and spending money to build new fabs all around the world. And then they kicked their CEO, and I kind of wish I understood like what their plan was going forward. And I know that they plan on like cutting fabs or stopping building, but they took like almost $8 billion in CHIPS Act funding, right?
Yeah.
And, like, what are they going to do with that? Do they still get that?
They still get it.
There's even talks about them like reducing like their Oregon operations and stuff and trying to like bring everything back down to California, but
Ian said, Tap on PC World Podcast said that Celestial design is done. And yes, Celestial is like ready to go. Ian says, Rett, there is no plan. When you fire the CEO, that means I'm going to start a new plan. That's exactly what that means. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas, so let's fire the CEO and let's bring in someone else who might have a semblance of a plan. A concept of a plan, if you will.
Was there something wrong with the old plan, though? I mean, it's funny. I was hoping that Ian would give me an answer. I just wasn't prepared for that one.
Right. No, that was the answer. That was what I was going to tell you, too.
That's kind of the answer that I should have been expecting. I mean, you've heard me railing against corporations all night, but...
Yeah. Gosh.
I mean, I'm no businessman, so maybe that's the big problem, but...
Yeah. Well, here I am deciding that running one business wasn't complicated enough. I'm going to try running two. The best plan. We have the best people. You'll know the plan when it's the plan. Yeah. I said last week, anyone who thought that the Intel turnaround was going to take less than 4 years, they're delusional.
Are you talking about the new turnaround or the turnaround that they were supposed to be on?
The turnaround that Gelsinger was leading, that wasn't fast enough for the shareholders, and so Gelsinger's out now.
You think, like, look, I don't know. It's just like, as an Oregonian, I understand what a rebuild phase is, okay? I'm a Trailblazers fan. It's okay to put your aspirations and your hopes and dreams on the back burner for a couple of seasons while you try to get your bench a little deeper, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Now, here's the problem with Intel's GPU division. No one's buying Intel GPUs.
But they're all, yeah, but are they trying to sell them? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean,
that's part of it, is Intel's also not trying to sell them. I'm curious to see if the B580 gets any semblance of a hold on the market, any at all. Because me and basically every reviewer that I've talked to about it, we are nothing but begging for a $250 budget card to come out. And hell, a $400 budget card to come out. That stomps on the existing markets they're within.
I do like that everybody in chat has the inside scoop on Intel and Gelsinger, and
Jeff, Nvidia's gaming revenue went up last quarter, 3.5 billion, up from 3 billion. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Do Intel GPUs work for media? I don't have one to test transcoding. Yes. Intel Arc does AV1 encoding and everything below that fantastically well. Veronica, get yourself an A310 if you want to do some media encoding stuff. Sparkle makes this card right here. Half height, half length, single slot. $100. You can pick up this card for $100. It's better than 80% of the NVIDIA counterparts that you would see to do transcoding work. And the Intel card, because it's based on the same QuickSync architecture as Intel CPU transcode stuff, it's supported in most media apps like Plex and Jellyfin and things like that, where AMD cards are not. You've had to have NVE and C, or if you had an Intel QuickSync CPU, you could do it before. This is supported by QuickSync protocols. And it does AV1 encoding, and it's $100. It's freaking amazing. I missed the name. What's the card? It's the Arc A310, A310. And it's made by Sparkle. And it's this big, and it's freaking cute, and it's the size of the old NVIDIA Quadro P400s that we picked up to do transcoding back in the day. This will spank most of those cards. All of those cards in transcodability. Can it run Doom? Yes. Actually, it can. But yeah, $100, it's a stupid simple option. Does ROCm work on Intel GPUs? ROCm is an AMD protocol. However, Intel's one API technically can run CUDA and ROCm code basically natively, supposedly. I think it's more geared towards CUDA, but ROCm code should run as well. But yeah, and Ian says it also runs Crysis. It does run Crysis. This is way faster than every card that was announced when Crysis was around, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, technically through one API you should be able to recompile and run your CUDA or ROCm code on one API on an Intel GPU. How well does it work with DaVinci Resolve? I haven't tested with DaVinci Resolve, but DaVinci Resolve does natively support QuickSync, and so I expect an Intel GPU to work very, very well. It also does H.264 encoding better. VMAF scores higher than anything else hardware. Yes. Yeah, H.264, X.265, it does both of those natively, as well as AV1 encode decode. It is a fantastic little media card to add to any server that you're having do any amount of media work and offload it from a CPU. So this is a great card.
Maybe
and there's
Intel should have hired you to move some SKUs. You know?
And there's no difference in the SKUs between as far as video encode. Every Intel GPU has the exact same media encode and decode engine, and the same amount of silicon doing it. It's dedicated hardware on the chip, so it doesn't matter if you're running an A770 or an A310. It's the same sliver of silicon that's doing all that work. So there's no sense to getting a bigger GPU to do decode work. And since we're talking about it, let me go ahead and I'll drop an affiliate link.
Woo!
Because, I have those.
Off Infinity asks, not to knock Arc, but how long have we been since drivers caused blue screens on Windows? My A380 has been shelved for a while.
A long time. The drivers
that seemed like it was all...
The drivers for the first 8 months were very hit or miss.
Yeah.
In the last 12 months, though, they've been pretty stable and fantastic. There's still the occasional gotcha. There's still the occasional game, like individual game that doesn't run well. But for the most part, it's all great. My 8800 GTX would like to know if it can still run Crysis. This is faster than 8800 GTX. By a lot. Oh, currently unavailable. What the crap?
Jeff.
Of course.
We don't know when it'll be back in stock.
Here we go. ASRock has... but ASRock's is a double thick. Okay. I'll drop that one as well, just so everyone has it. So here's the link to the ASRock card. But keep in mind, it's a double thick heatsink. It has no business being a double thick heatsink. It's a 35 watt card. But there you go. Yeah, I've also got an ASRock A380. So, can it run Skyrim? Yes, Skyrim's a 14-year-old game at this point. Of course it can.
It's an old game.
You can run it at 100 frames per second. Like,
it's confusing because it's been re-released 9.5 times, but
yeah. Good Linux drivers for the A310? Yes, actually. Especially for compute workloads. Linux drivers for gaming, I haven't tested, so I will put that caveat out there. Have you tried SR-IOV on that card? I have tried SR-IOV. The last time I tried SR-IOV was not with Alchemist. It was Intel Xe graphics, which was their old integrated graphics. And I got it to work kind of, but not really. SR-IOV is not officially supported on the A310. However, it is officially supported on the Flex GPUs. So the A40 and the A70. And if you get one of their Flex GPUs, yes, you can use SR-IOV. I have not tested it out yet. I have been, again, to point fingers at Intel, and especially because the people I used to talk to at Intel about this are no longer there, so I can voice my concerns in public now. I have been asking for 2 years for Flex cards for SR-IOV testing. And they went, we don't have any. We can't give you any. We're not testing those. We're only giving them to Dell and HP, and they can do with them as they will. Intel, why are you treating graphics like they don't exist? I want to show people what is possible with this, and you literally told me no. Repeatedly.
Because a company can't make their market cap go up if they're not actively hostile to its base level consumers.
I wanted a Flex 700 card to do cloud gaming on because it's SR-IOV and open source. And I went, hey, give me a Flex or A70 or whatever the Flex card was. It's a single slot, full height, full length card. And it supports virtualized graphics through SR-IOV. And I went, I want to show how much better of a value this is than NVIDIA, which is one of your marketing use cases for this card. And Intel, for 2 straight years, said, nah, we're not going to let you do that. Yeah. They don't want to sell you, or you, Jeff. You are not the target market, not enough volume. Yes and no. The problem is when I try to create a scenario which will generate a market. And I know even my puny little YouTube channel, us small YouTubers, as some other YouTubers have called me, will, I understand I'm small potatoes as far as a lot of that goes. But yeah, middle management thinking they know the market. Exactly. That's exactly right.
It's just the entire C-suite. It's just all the bean counters. And somebody was saying, why lock it at all? Just don't support that on consumer. They have to lock it because they're probably not. It's like they're cutting all this stuff from a certain product stack. They're not spending more money creating products for base level consumers. They're just taking the scraps and giving those to consumers. We're lucky if yeah, I don't know. I was just gonna keep going. It's the same thing. It's the same bell I've been ringing all night.
Intel did let Jeff in their building, yeah, and so Intel let me in their building repeatedly, and in fact, last time I was in their building, I left with the Granite Rapids box that's out in my garage right now, and I said, "Hey, you put all 10 Flex cards in there, right?" And they said no.
And he's never been back since.
Well, all of my contacts left, so all of my Intel contacts took the 1-year payout. So now I'm relying on Ian to get me more.
Just drive up there.
Yeah.
Go through the front door and ask to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Speaking of backtracking, speaking of bad corporate decisions, Microsoft is backtracking on their system requirements for Windows 11 on older incompatible PCs, seeing as how Windows 10 is going end of life and no one has any inkling to upgrade to Windows 11 simply because their PC doesn't have TPM 2.0 modules. Yeah, so I've reported on this a couple of times. We talked about this at Windows 11 launch. We talked about this in relation to system upgrades and compatible PCs and how it's really stupid that PCs made 3 years ago, in some cases, still don't have TPM and it's a requirement for Windows 11. Maybe more than 3 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But as Windows 10 is going end of life, here in the next 8 months now? October? 10 months? Microsoft is backtracking on the TPM requirement simply to get people on the latest operating system. And I like this decision. Now, what is a TPM? Trusted Platform Module. It's basically a place to hold encryption keys and certificates and things like that, to aid in encode decode, specifically for cryptography, encryption, data protection, that kind of thing. Veronica says, I'm literally OOBE bypass NRO right now. Nice. Yeah, that is the most recent version of I don't want a Microsoft account. Stop telling me to create a Microsoft account. It's not going to happen. Stop trying to make Microsoft accounts happen, Microsoft. Yeah. But TPM is a place to store cryptography keys to aid in encryption and decryption algorithms on your PC. Does it accelerate encryption, decryption? No, but it's a secure place to store the cryptography keys themselves. Why would you use cryptography? Well, if you want your hard drive encrypted. So if someone pulled out the hard drive and tried to read it in another machine, they wouldn't be able to use it. If they wanted to access your machine without a PIN number, it is encrypted and so it cannot be used. There's use cases for that. However, there's also dozens of use cases in which I don't want to run encryption. I don't want an online account. I don't need secure boot. I don't need all of these other things. And I love that they're trying to go so hard on security, but I hate that they're trying to go so hard on security simply to sell you newer hardware when older hardware still works. I've said many, many times, I have specific Windows installs that don't even care if you have TPM, because a lot of my machines don't. My virtual machines don't, although you can create virtual TPMs in virtual machines in the latest version of Proxmox, which is kind of fun. I don't need OneDrive. Thank you.
Speak for yourselves.
Zolandoc says, last time I tried OOBE bypass, it doesn't work anymore. It only works with specific SKUs. You have to have professional or professional for workstation or enterprise. Otherwise, if you have home, you still have to have a Windows Live account. Unless you answer file your way out of it, which is way more complicated. Yeah, you don't need to protect me from myself. It's not even about that. Like, Microsoft has good thoughts around security, but at the same time, there's no reason those crypto keys couldn't just be stored on the hard drive. Like, it really is an enterprise feature looking for a consumer use case, and they're trying to shoehorn the consumer use case in simply to sell you new hardware. Windows Pro lets you out if you do the out-of-box experience bypass. The bypass network resource only, or NRO, or whatever the bypass NRO is the current filter, and it only works on certain SKUs. I know it still works on professional. I think it still works on professional. I know it works on professional for workstations, because that's the SKU that I install.
Crap. Well, maybe it's just all these companies reading the news about what happens to anti-consumer CEOs and stuff. And they're just like, all right, let's backtrack this up a little bit. You know, we don't need no Mario Brothers coming out here and doing bad things. Let's see if we can get a few other big companies to backtrack on bad policies.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if... A lot of things, really. Wouldn't it be nice if we started solving problems for consumers instead of monetizing every solution? Wouldn't it be nice if not everything was a race to the top? Graphics cards.
Yeah.
I've thought about doing a video recently on you don't need a top-end graphics card. You don't, flat out. You and I talked about a video series quite a while ago about the sliding scale of rules. And I've thought about so many ways to try this, but not a way that I think would actually hit. Just from like a PC building perspective, if you get onto Reddit build a PC or hardware or any of the subreddits or any like community forum, you're met with a list of rules that you have to follow to have a successful build experience to play games, right? Like everyone's experienced this. You go on and, oh, you have to have proper airflow in your case. Oh, you have to have a graphics card that is faster than your CPU can handle. Oh, you have to have a graphics card oriented in this way with airflow pointed in this direction. You have to have 32 gigabytes of RAM. You have to have 12 gigabytes of VRAM. You have to have... These are all rules and they're non-negotiable.
And you can't bring your questions about these rules there because they're just going to tell you, like, check the rules. There's the sign.
Don't make me tap the sign. 8 gigabytes is not enough on a modern video card for 1080p gaming. You can't do it. Meanwhile, we play every single one of these games on our Steam Deck, which has only 4 gigabytes of shared memory, and they run fine. Yeah. So what's the answer? The answer is, as you get higher and higher performance, and this is thing that you see in supercars, there are more and more rules that apply to the laws of airflow and liquid physics and thermodynamics. What I mean by that is, if you've ever seen a giant wing on the back of a Mitsubishi Evo, that car is not going fast enough to need more downforce. But a Veyron is, at least at 220 miles an hour. I'm sure, like, I had a 350Z convertible, and I had 10-inch wide wheels on the back, 10-inch wide tires on the back. I don't need that much grip for 285 horsepower, but I do on a McLaren. It's a sliding scale of how much performance are you expecting and where are your performance metrics going to drop or going to suffer because the rest of the static mean has reached a point in which other things start to fail. And how do you explain that in a YouTube video? Bringing this back to PCs, you have to have 12 gigabytes of video memory for modern 1080p gaming. Well, yes, at ultra settings. Well, yes, if you have a CPU that can keep up. Well, yes, if you have this and you have that. But you know what? Name a modern game that won't launch on a Steam Deck, which has 8 gigabytes of combined memory, system and GPU, and the games run fine. Right. Do they look like garbage? Of course they do. Do they look fine on a 7-inch screen? Of course they do. It's a sliding scale.
They look fine. They look fine. In fact, I actually have been plugging my Steam Deck into a TV and playing games with my kid and stuff.
Still looks fine.
It looks fine. It looks fine.
Do you know what my primary gaming PC is?
What?
So I do have my portable rig. I have my Intel 13900H Earying motherboard tied to a 4070 Ti Super. And that's the rig I take to LAN parties. And then I've got my system over there, which is a Threadripper 7980WX 64 core with a 4080 Super. I've got this rig right below me, which is a 5950X, and I think I have a 4070 in there. Do you know what I play games on? I play games on a Ryzen 3600 with a 3050.
Yeah.
That's my PC that sits upstairs on my desk. And it runs at 1440p on 144 hertz monitor. And
I'm one of the few too that I'm just like,
Steam Deck has 16 gigs. Okay, so 12 and 4. Or 8 and 8. There's no way it's giving 12 gigs to VRAM. There's no possible way.
You don't know that?
Yeah.
I think that I say this all the time, but it's like 30 frames per second, I'm fine. You know what I mean?
I want to see 60 out of most games anymore.
Sure. Anymore. I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine to want it. I want it too. I want it too, Jeff. Yeah. When I say I'm fine with it, I'm not saying don't give me 60.
Yeah.
I'm saying 30's fine.
But
Nintendo 64 was locked under 30.
But all of these rules that we place on PC building, that we place on speccing out a new PC, I'm just going to name them, is based on specs by Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus. That is reviews based on what is the nth percentile you can expect out of said hardware. And if you're going to run a 14900K, you need to buy the Thermal Grizzly hold down bracket so it will evenly distribute the pressure onto the socket. We can make it as flat as possible. And you have to run a 420mm AIO or a Noctua NHD14 to get the maximum CPU cooling performance possible out of it so it won't thermal throttle when you're running your 4090. That's one solution. Or I could simply run a 12400 with an Intel box cooler and a 3060 12 gig. Or an RX 580. And guess what? I can play every single game at high settings at 60 frames per second. Every freaking one.
Dr. Ian Cuttress, doctor, by the way, says that my primary gaming device is myself. Speaking about me, he says Rhett's primary gaming device is himself. So
yes,
I emphasize Dr. Ian Cuttress.
The doctor just told you to play with yourself in
I know,
in a long-winded way, and that's amazing.
That's my favorite prescription I've gotten yet.
Why build a new PC when you can slowly upgrade over decades? Right? Right?
Exactly.
It's gotten to a point with PC hardware where we lust after Lamborghinis, but no one has Lamborghini money. And that's always been a point of contention with me, even when graphics cards were $800 and $600. Like, when I started my channel, a 1080 was the best graphics card you could buy. The 1080 Ti hadn't launched yet. And the 1080 was $599. And I went, not everyone has 1080, has GTX 1080 money. Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't have 1080 money when I started this channel. I had used 1070 money.
We talk about it all the time, but there's just something about I don't know exactly how that took a hold in this community, that's the way you think, because no other community, enthusiast community, thinks this way. Nobody thinks that way when it comes to cars. Nobody thinks that way when it comes to music equipment.
The fact that the Subaru BRZ Toyota GT86 sells as well as it does at $30,000 for a rear-wheel drive manual sports car, should tell you everything you need to know about the PC gaming community. Because do we all want the Supra? Yeah. Do we all want the Evo? Yes. Do we all want a Gallardo? Yes, of course we do. But a lot of us don't even have used BRZ money. And so we drive our Corolla like we stole it. And that's okay.
Hey, but it's souped up, all right? I got sweet rims on it.
Do you remember our conversation on the way to PDX? Not PDX, but PAX?
No. About what?
We were talking about car community clashing with the PC gaming community in reference to dick measuring contests. But my Corolla is like overboard from the factory, man. Like it's making like 210 horsepower. Like I know they said 180, but mine does so much more than that.
Exactly. I do remember that now.
Yeah. You were appalled at the fact that we weren't actually going to get out planks of wood and start measuring our dicks. So I set up a GoPro on my dash because we drove to PAX in like 2018 or something like that. And I went, we'll do some extra footage and we'll do like car conversations on a road trip. And I couldn't use any of it because it was all stuff like that.
That's just stuff that just needs to get like listed as private and put on like the Patreon or whatever, you know?
I think I did post it at one point specifically for the Patreon. Like it is up there somewhere. But that same culture of like the car bro has really seeped into the gaming community of where, yeah, I got this 10600K and I've got it overclocked to 6.2 gigahertz on liquid metal and it's outshining even the 14900K today. It is overclocked that hard, bro. And like I'm telling you, like the 4070 is like the best card ever made, and I've got mine like clocked to 3.2, and it still runs everything at 144 hertz, ultra settings, no none of that frame gen or anything like that. Said by someone who's never actually benchmarked anything. But winding this conversation back down, getting out of the PC bro community. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I love that saying so much because you don't know what you're missing unless you see someone who has more. And for those of us who grew up playing Wolfenstein 3D in a window this big, because I had a 386 33 megahertz and that's as good as I could get, or a Macintosh LC2. And it was either full screen on my 11-inch Macintosh color monitor at 8 frames per second, or shrinking that down to postage stamp size to be able to play at 40. I got better performance, and the game ran. And I could actually see what I was doing and react to enemies on screen before I got shot. Comparison is the thief of joy because you don't know what you're missing until you know you're missing it.
Alice calls it competitive phallometry.
Ooh, like that's good.
I know. I'm gonna have to start stealing that.
Competitive phallometry. That's good. My gaming PC upstairs is a Ryzen 3600. Zen 2, 6-core, 12-thread, not overclocked, running an AMD box cooler, and an RTX 3050. And while I do play games down here sometimes on my 43-inch Aorus 144 hertz 4K panel with a 4080 Super and a Threadripper 7980X, 90% of my gaming happens upstairs at my workstation that's sitting there. And I want that workstation to draw 100 watts or less. It's what it was built for. It's built to be not obnoxious. It's built to be low power, no heat generation, no noise, but still be able to play everything. And that PC plays everything. Sometimes at 1080 medium, and I'll get 60 frames per second. And you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah, Ian says gamers will optimize the fun out of everything. And that's like my biggest problem with the whole like min-maxing optimization thing is that at a certain point, like you just gotta play the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'd rather get, 10 extra hours of game time in rather than 10 extra hours of fretting over my performance or whatever.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. It's the same thing like with music stuff. Like, I'm not a big gearhead because it's like I can just plug into my amp and I've got distortion and I've got reverb built in and it sounds nice and I can play my guitar for an extra however long and I don't have to sit there and dial in my tone or fiddle with the signal chain and like, oh no, I put my distortion before I have my compressor or whatever. Like, I could just play the guitar and it's fun.
Yep. We need to stop getting in our own way of enjoyment. If your enjoyment is the drag race, is the PC benchmarking, and I'm looking at a lot of the top YouTubers right now, and I know I've said things like that before, but if that's your enjoyment, if your enjoyment is the drag race, that's cool.
Obviously there's a place for it. Like nobody's saying that
there's absolutely a place for it, and as much as I rag on some of the conclusions they have, the work that GN and Hardware Unbox and all those people do is very important work in not only establishing absolute performance of hardware, but also calling companies out for BS when marketing claims were wrong or they said it was capable of some things and it's not. And you do need to hold companies accountable. You do need to actually vet and research and validate marketing claims. But at the end of the day, if your goal is to play games and you're fretting over, should I buy the 4090 versus a 4080 Super? You should probably buy a 4060. Because it'll play all the same games. Like, Car Bros, like, let's loop this back around. Like, the conversation's going like this, but let's loop back to Car Bros for a second. Car Bros will fret over 0 to 60 times off the lot, and they'll tune their car to an nth degree. But you know what? We all drive on the same highways with the same speed limits. Some of us just need our car to get from A to B.
There you have it. Don't optimize the joy.
Yep.
Don't engage in competitive phallometry.
No, not a 4060. Price to performance sucks. That's what I'm talking about. I have $300 to spend on a graphics card. Which graphics card do I buy? Not what's the best price to performance. I have $300 to spend on a graphics card. Which graphics card do I buy? Answer that question. Don't compare to the 4080 performance to price, because I don't have $1,000. Which graphics card in my budget do I buy? You buy the 4060. And you know what? The 4060 plays all the same games.
That's the thing you see the PC bros do all the time. It's just like...
it's exactly the crap that I'm talking about.
You're like, here's my budget. Here's my budget. And they go, well, you really ought to cop an extra $50 for that thing or not even build it all. It's like, do you not know what the word budget means? For God's sake, dude. Like... It doesn't mean that I have extra money that I can magically pull out of thin air.
Yeah. You should absolutely just spend an extra $150 and get yourself a 4070. Oh, wait, the 4070 sucks now because the 4070 Super is out. Wait, crap, what do I do? Oh, spend $600. Well, now I'm double the budget that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah, it's funny how NVIDIA is guiding you towards the best price to performance decision at $600, right? And again, if your goal is to get the best price to performance possible, there's metrics out there for that. If your goal is to play the game, buy a Nintendo Switch.
I know.
And stop worrying about it. And I know that's a weird take for a hardware reviewer, but really, I wish a lot of people would just take a deep breath.
I could play Baldur's Gate 3 sitting hunched over my hard wooden desk on my desktop PC, or I can play it laying comfy in my bed, you know?
I love
nice little screen.
I love the fact that I had a video that was scheduled 24 hours early prior to release, and I accidentally violated embargo for 19 minutes on the 9800X3D. It was a complete F up on my part. I scheduled a video late one night and clicked the wrong day. And the video went live. And do you know what the response that I got was? I trust Jeff for some of the non-technical stuff, and he's really good at home lab, but I don't trust him for graphics testing.
Ugh.
And you know what my next video was? Granite Rapids. Just because I don't review the way other people review things, because I review in a little bit more of a based, grounded in reality. What is the user experience? Like, I can't quantify what the user experience is, but that's what I grade things on. I start with price. At X price point, who does this make sense for? Who's going to be buying this product? And not even who AMD or NVIDIA or Intel want to buy this product, but who actually is going to be buying this product. I then go with, how would this product be used in the real world? Who is going to use it and how are they going to use it? And then finally, how does it perform based on those expectations? Not how does it perform against a blank slate of every other product that's ever existed? And where does it fit into the overall product stack, price and performance-wise? And again, not that that's bad information to know, but reviews go deeper than that. And I don't trust Jeff because he doesn't review cards the exact same way that everyone else reviews cards. Do you want me to just agree with everyone else? Do you want the same numbers presented in 9 different videos?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, everybody's drag racing. I don't want to see another drag racer. You know, I would rather watch a review based solely on like the potential of something's like its life cycle as e-waste. Like, how is this thing going to age in a landfill? I'd rather watch that video than like a dozen different drag racing benchmarks. Nobody, like, you just need one. Like, maybe 2, just for like comparative sake. But
I'm
I don't know.
gonna tell you a dirty little secret. I know where a GPU is going to land and where a CPU is going to land in the greater scheme of things within 3 benchmarks.
Yeah.
We tested in 19 different games, 45 games, 130 games. We spent $20,000 testing this. Run it through 3D Mark. That's it. There are idiosyncrasies in every game, but those are idiosyncrasies. Run it through 3D Mark. Your 3D Mark metrics are within a couple percentage of your average metrics for every single game. Because 3D Mark is designed to stress test a card and give you the average metrics for every single game.
Yeah.
It's not hard. That's why I still run CPUs through Cinebench R15, a 9-year-old benchmark, because it gives some relative performance. And anymore, it gives better performance for burst metrics. For if I have a single task that's going to use 100% of my CPU, but it only needs to do it for 30 seconds, what are my metrics like? It gives a great metric for that. But Jeff, people want to see their exact setup in game and settings, and otherwise they don't care and don't want to work it out. That's why I try to show things in real-world scenarios in which they'll actually be used. Hey, should you buy a 9800X3D? The best gaming CPU that's ever been made, and I knew that within 30 minutes of using it. Or do you only need that for a 4090? Would you be better served by a 9700X, or even a 285K, or even a 245K? If you only have RTX 4060 money, or RTX 4070 money? Is there any negligible difference? The answer was yes, but not in averages. It happened in the lows. And now we know that. I love that I'm lambasted for trying to give more information other than raw specs and raw performance. But I test things wrong, so what do I know?
Your
nuance in this economy?
Channel, yeah, you're not catering to the lowest common denominator of an audience. You know what I mean? It's like your audience is capable of nuance, so, and you've got them.
Yep. Nuance in this economy? But no, the overwhelming thing that I saw was, well, he didn't test GPU isolated, or he didn't test CPU isolated. I want to see those 720p low numbers. That CPU is going to be like 70% faster if he did that. Who's buying this? And are they running at 720p low? If the answer to either of those questions is no, then my tests are valid. And I gave you information that other people didn't. Nuance doesn't sell ads, Jeff. What about my 9575F for gaming? God damn you. I'm still waiting on my Turin chips. I haven't gotten them yet.
Rev says that nuance is the death of excitement. And I think it's funny because for me, when the older I get and I realize just how complicated and nuanced everything is, like, I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I know nothing about anything. And there's so much to learn about everything. It's like, that's exciting.
Yeah.
But that, I guess that's where I differ from the average YouTube commenter.
When you try to actually quantify data, you want to make sure your data is quantifiable among a large number of sample points. And so standardization is the way that you do that. And I fully understand that. And as I said, it's the right way to benchmark things for a generalized perspective. However, we've missed the interpersonal aspect of reviewing, which is still an aspect of reviewing, which is, holy crap, this card is massive, and you're going to have to buy a larger case just to fit it, and that's something that not a lot of people want. So a downside to the fastest gaming PC ever is it's going to take up more desk space, be louder, and generate more heat. That's a subjective metric that doesn't show up in any specs, but is absolutely a deciding factor in some people's purchase decision that no one talks about. Reviewing is supposed to be subjective. It's supposed to be personal opinions and personal experience. This car has a massive amount of cargo room, but terrible headspace if you're 6'4". You're going to feel claustrophobic. Guess what? I wouldn't buy a car based on that review, regardless of how many cubic feet of cargo space it has.
I mean, and that's the point, is that like a review is supposed to be something of a sales guide to a potential consumer.
It's supposed to be a buyer's guide, consumer reports.
Yeah. And so it's like, if you have your slant and your take and your methodology and you're helping match a buyer to a product or whatever, like it's all it's about. Like there's lots of different use cases, like you say. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like we're buying GPUs based on 0 to 60 time. Which is by the way, your average 2 directions to account for wind speed. So it's still an average. You know, if we bought every vehicle based on their quarter mile drag speed, would I have ever bought a Toyota Sienna to haul my family around?
Yeah.
No, I bought the Toyota Sienna because it's a freaking van, and it's made by Toyota, and it's one of the most reliable hybrid drivetrains on the market, and it gets 35 miles combined to the gallon, being a people hauler.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the metrics that were important to me.
Hell yeah. If you were dragging it, might not have bought it.
Yep. Although what's really fun is it's a minivan that has a semblance of launch control to it. So there's a couple modes in the Toyota that you can set. So it is an all-wheel drive electric. There are electric motors front and rear that drive the front and the rear tires independent of one another. There's also a mechanical drivetrain through the engine, internal combustion engine, that can drive the front wheels. And so it's literally a 3-mode or three power source driving system. All-wheel drive, only like 50 horsepower to the rear wheels. It's not a lot. But you can do launch control with this, and you can do 0 to 60 in like 8 seconds in this van. And it's crazy. And the way you do that is you come to a stop, and you put on what's called hold mode. Hold mode allows you to press the brakes, and if you're at a stoplight, let go of the brake, and the brake will continue to hold. And then to release it, simply tap the gas pedal, and it will release the brake, and you can go. You can also set it into sport mode, which tunes the CVT to go into performance settings to match your engine revs at like 5,500 RPM. So you get the most torque or the most horsepower available to drive the forward wheels. It will also set your electric motors to their max torque setting and allow the most current to flow through. Now, combined with the hold setting, you can have the car literally hold for you. And then if you stab the gas, it will immediately deliver 100% torque to the wheels via electric drive, and it will get you off the line. And then the combustion motor takes over, which is still 240 horsepower. And that combined with the other two motors will drive you forward to like 8 seconds, 0 to 60 in a Toyota Sienna.
That's nuts.
And it works. It works really well. It's a lot of fun. Is 8 seconds anything to write home about these days? No, but it's really fun to blow a...
In a minivan. Come on, that's cool.
It's really fun to blow a Mitsubishi Eclipse off the line.
Oh.
You know, any MR2. Anyway, this video is brought to you by Raid. It's not a backup.
Back up your files, kids.
Yes. Technical prowess isn't everything. A lot more people enjoy listening to Eddie Van Halen than Joe Satriani. Says Alice for $5. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. Technical prowess is only part of the equation.
Yeah.
Baseball is 90%
scale.
Baseball is 90% physical, the other half is mental. Yogi Berra.
The really good Yogi Berra.
Thank you. There's a lot to be said for that, though.
It's true.
So
half the things he said were pretty spot on. Yeah. You know, my favorite is they don't say it be like it is, but it do.
I'm not saying I'm the best reviewer out there. I have my own biases, but any reviewer that doesn't recognize their own biases is a bad reviewer. I recognize my biases. I love budget. I love budget beyond all else. I want $500 to do more than $500 is capable of. That's my bias. That's my budget. Because forever, I was a $500 PC builder. Before I started this channel, I had built exactly one brand new PC for myself, and that was in 2008 when Salem launched. And it's only because I won an Alienware laptop from a Games for Windows Live contest for Fallout 3. I won a $3,300 Alienware R15 or R17 with dual 9800 GTX graphics cards and SLI in a freaking laptop. I received the laptop, I powered it on, I went, oh, that's really neat. I powered it off and I put it on eBay, and I used the money to build myself a new PC. And even after I upgraded that PC, I upgraded it with used parts and scraped and scounged and did everything I could to not spend top dollar, because I've never been a top dollar PC builder. It's not what excites me. I love rat rods. I love rat rods more than anything else. Lamborghinis don't excite me. I'll be up in just a sec. Okay. And so I've never been a new PC builder until I started the channel and started, getting new PC hardware. But I want that same value proposition for my viewers. And I don't want them to think that they have to spend $2,500 on an RTX 4090 to get a good gaming experience, because you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes me a bad reviewer. Anyway, this has been Talking Heads. Episode 362. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop this video a like, all the engagement stuff. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite type of rat rod, car, or PC build is. Like what is your go-to when it comes to things like that? For years it was the RX 580, the AliExpress RX 580 for under $100. But what is your recent go-to rat rod PC build? Let me know. I'd love to do a video on it. Rett, anything else before we close?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, just keep following me at Rett is Awesome. I'm on B-Sky these days.
As all the fun people are.
I've completely moved away from most other social media, so find me there. Otherwise, everybody, I won't be back until probably after the Christmas show, the Christmas times and stuff. So everybody have safe holidays. And
we're trying to get a social show together, maybe on the 26th. How does that work for you?
That could work out.
That's like
a Thursday.
Yeah, it's a Thursday.
Yeah. Let's talk about it in the chat.
Cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
I haven't talked to Steve yet. I talked to John. John's on board. I talked to you. So I'll ask Steve on the air next week to make sure he's fully unprepared. But no, the 26th, we're trying to get a show together. I want to do it at San EM, and I want them to do bottle service for us so they can open a couple big beers for us.
That'd be
so plan on Ubering if I were you.
Yeah, we'll see.
or maybe your wife could DD for all of us. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll see about that one too. More luck Ubering, probably.
Yes. Plan on Ubering, because
yeah.
I got a beer that we can legally open because it's the max ABV that we can legally open in Oregon.
Mm.
It's a 20.0.
Oh god.
And it's a bomber.
That'd be fun.
So
That could be fun.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Anyway,
cool.
Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers everyone. Okay. I gotta go. My son is losing